Good morning, Christina Souto. It is such an honor to have you here today as a guest of my podcast, Fashion Frames, where we talk about AI and new technology in the fashion industry. You are a digital transformation lead currently, specializing in 3D and innovation at Hugo Boss, one of the frontrunners in the industry. So it's very excited to have you here. Your background is in fashion design, but you have this deep expertise in digital technologies. You've played a key role in integrating cutting edge solutions into design and development processes. And lately, you also touched AI a little bit more. That's also why I wanted you to join. You have nearly a decade of experience now. You focus on digitalization, creative workflows in this intersection of technology and craftsmanship. We will be diving today into the rise of AI, how it's reshaping teams, storytelling, and of course the way we as brands create. So thank you very much for
Yes,
being
thank
here
you
today.
to you. Thank you to Charlotte for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here today, and I really believe that knowledge sharing is the main key to making the industry move forward. So spaces like this are essential. So thank you very much. And the more people understand the capabilities of AI, more creative doors will open, and there will be more opportunities for everybody, and in general, we'll advance more and the faster we'll get here and the faster we'll also adapt these technologies in our everyday workflows. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
We both come from a fashion design background, but also 3D background. 3D has been transforming the way fashion brands design and develop products. And now with AI, I feel like it's shaking things up again. How do you see these two worlds intersect?
Yes, agree. I mean, one thing is for sure, we don't have time to get bored. But it's really interesting because, as you were saying, it was not so long ago. We're talking, 2 or 3 years that we went through this huge, massive 3D transformation across the
Hmm.
industry, and now AI is here, and everybody's a bit feeling like, wow, okay, is everything gonna change again?
Exactly.
But my personal opinion, I don't know how you feel about it. My personal opinion is that it's an addition to the transformation that we have already been doing, and
Yeah.
AI is coming to help us, um, you know, ease the workflows and make things faster, quicker, better, rather than seeing it as a complete new thing or, something that's completely different. I see that it's something that it's the perfect addition and what we exactly needed, to this existing 3D technology.
Yeah, so you see it more as an extension of what 3D could currently do. I agree with that 100%, but it also depends on which department you work in. Because in some departments, 3D is not that prominent, so AI might be a standalone solution. But when it comes to 3D people like us, I think AI is the solution we were looking for in the last decade or so.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Of course, yes. I think there's, I always speak from, from the area that that I have the experience on, but of course I can also imagine that there are some areas of the business with where AI really it's shaking things up even more than it is in 3D.
Correct. But when we go a little bit deeper into workflows, you're working with 3D workflows on a day to day basis. Which workflows are being most impacted by AI?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I would say that in general, all of them are getting impacted. But we do see, or we're starting to see, that there's mainly like two main roads for that impact, or two main areas where AI is really like getting intertwined with our job. And I would say the first one is the most technical one. So it has to do all with automation of pipelines. And for the audience that is hearing, before AI, there were a lot of manual effort happening for communication between programs,
Mm.
exports between programs like Cloud 3D and Real, and all of those workflows, cleaning up meshes. And AI is enabling us to automate all those processes, which then,
Mm.
make everybody's life much easier. And of course, it means that everything gets done quicker so that we can do more. The other area I would say is really on a creative spectrum and everything that has to do with enabling creativity. And one of the main key topics is that, in the last maybe 10 years or so, specifically when we talk about fashion design, the designer's role slowly started to become less and less and less creative because, you have to deal with things like emails, charts, PowerPoints, yada, yada, yada. And designers were feeling more and more that, they had less time to be creative, which is in the end their job, they're
That's
the,
also the pure volume, right?
right? Yeah,
What as
absolutely.
designers, what would need to create on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Exactly. So AI is coming into enabling that volume of creation and it's bringing creativity back in a way.
Oh, that is such a beautiful way to see it. I love that statement. AI is bringing creativity back. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And because you can see, there's now 1,000 programs where you can experiment without having, the manual work behind those experimentations. And
Mm.
really, like, you can just have hundreds of them with, one click.
It's a
And
creative playground
yeah,
almost, right? Yeah.
absolutely. And also, depending on which AIs we're talking about, of course, sometimes also it's really cool that, you go away of reality and you forget about, the physicality of the world and can think beyond that. And of course, it's then, then needs to get translated into a real product. But just the fact that we open that door, it's insane and it's incredible. And I'm really so excited to see, like, in the next maybe year, 2 years, the things that are going to be coming up are going to be really
Mm.
incredible.
But translating that sketch or AI output into a real product, that's really where technical knowledge is still needed. Because I
Yes,
had that conversation with a previous guest about if AI is replacing designers or technicians. I don't think that's the case. Not right now. I also don't see how that would happen in the near future. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think that combination of playground creativity with AI and then at the same time having this technical knowledge to translate that, that's really where the combination can boost productivity, right?
agree. 100% agree with you. I mean, never say never. We don't know what will happen in the next
Yeah.
10 years, but how things are now, I also see, AI will never replace, but it would rather assist and it'll make us be better designers or, better technicals, better employees. But in the end, there's that certain je ne sais quoi, also beyond technical, because of course here I agree with you 100%. But there's also a je ne sais quoi, that aesthetic knowledge, deep knowledge
Mm.
intertwined in a designer's brain that it's so hard to grasp for a computer. And
Yeah.
that's in the end, also what makes good designs and great products and like great collections to be out there. So I think that human part will always be necessary.
AI is changing the way teams work. I had a conversation with someone else who was also in the management team lead area in fashion, and he told me that it's actually changing the team's dynamic. I don't know how you feel about it, but what does it mean for team leaders and managers? How do you ensure your team is prepared for AI adoption?
I have to say, I'm personally very lucky because I'm directing a team that is tech savvy and actually most of the time, and they're the ones teaching me rather than the other way around because they're the ones that always know the latest news, the latest tech, the latest AIs. So it's rather the other way around. But absolutely, I mean, I think the most important part is that, as leaders, we need to give the space for, for our employees and our team to really deep dive into the topic. And I think the first thing is let the team get the knowledge and the space to discover before even starting or thinking of implementing anything on a daily basis. I think it's really important that you let everybody have that playground into what they feel confident with, what are their favorite tools. Because of course, then like we're all different, and as we don't all like to use the same programs, then it's same is going to happen with AI. I'm quite sure that we some like some things, some like others, and that's one of the most important things. I think secondly, probably we're almost never going to have to write an email again. So it also makes our life easier. It's not all hard. I think it's also all good. I mean, one of the really funny story, one of the last times, now we do have an AI implementation in our meetings. How cool it is that you don't need to take notes anymore, right? It's
Yeah, it gives you a really good summary. And of course, you need to still read through it and you still need to internalize it. It doesn't take away that part of your work, but at least taking meeting notes, you can really concentrate on the conversation while you're in the meeting, right? That's amazing.
Or I don't know, you probably had the same experience. How many times, in these huge meetings that sometimes last hours, and especially, I don't know, if you're reviewing styles or you're reviewing the collection, there's always an intern or an assistant that is there taking notes, taking care of everything, taking care of what was said.
Mm.
We don't need it anymore. And the cool thing is that, like that person can focus on doing more creative things and actually bring in better value to that meeting. So it's for me, it's fantastic.
I think now that you talked about interns, for people who enter the industry now, what kind of mindset or what skills do they need or what skills are crucial for their professional career going forward?
Well, I don't know how you think about it because I think there's also a lot of like different opinions out there. In my opinion, I think you do need to have technical skills in terms of software usage. I think that is essential and it's probably the hardest part to learn. So I think people that are coming into jobs with that knowledge already there, is it because they studied in university or sometimes they taught themselves. I think internet it's a great university too and it's a great place to learn. That's going to be the beginning to everything, and maybe speaking also a bit more into soft skills, beyond that. I think people that are very confident, because of course, I think with AI we all need to be very confident of our value,
Yeah.
um, because if you're not confident with your value, it can start to be a bit more complicated into how interact with this technology. And I think that's one of the
Mm.
really important things, like know your value, be confident, and with that, I think it should,
Being open to
yes, being
experiment and learn
open to
more.
experiment. But I think I don't know how you feel about it. I do feel that especially younger generations already are in general,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
right?
I used to have an intern when I was still working in Bestseller. And I remember him coming in, and he was so much more open than most of the people to just experiment. And he brought so much value in. It was quite incredible. So I think interns are oftentimes underestimated.
Oh,
So,
I would say almost all of the times.
yeah.
In general, they bring such a great value to companies, and it's really cool, yeah, because they have that passion for the new things, and they're
Yeah.
always I think, see, going back, curiosity, one is that's also one of
Curiosity.
the, I would say, really good skills to have, not only as an intern, probably in life in general, and especially when we talk AI. I think curiosity is something to keep.
I would like to talk a little bit more about storytelling because when we talked before the recording of this, we had a little chat, and you said that storytelling is something that you feel like is very much impacted by AI at the moment. And fashion is all about storytelling. Can AI actually enhance the creative process rather than replacing it? What is your opinion on that?
Absolutely. I think it is already enhancing it. We're just probably seeing the beginning of it, and it's gonna come even, bigger in the future. But as you were saying, fashion is all about storytelling. It's all about telling the story of your brand, telling the story of a product, really, engaging with your end consumer. So of course, in general, when we talk specifically in the 3D area, that's where we start. We'll go over non-3D areas. Creating storytelling content it's manpower consuming. Like you need to use gaming engines like Unreal, Unity, that are extensive. It's not easy to create a 3D video. It's not easy to create a product video, an interactive experience. And AI is building those bridges because
Mm.
now we have, as we were saying, always linking in the net. Those automations, it's super quick. It's much quicker, and it's going to be
Mm.
even quicker and quicker and quicker in the future. With in some cases also AI is coming up where you don't necessarily need to have all that gaming software knowledge as, for example, a 3D artist. Maybe even a brand manager now can also prompt and create a video, and it's fantastic because it's allowing us to it allows us to get a better message to more consumers.
Mm.
And I think also, when we talk specifically in fashion, we shoot a lot of stuff. We do a lot of campaigns. We were doing the content is not only 3D, as we were saying, it's also a lot of showing the product and telling the story on let's say
Yeah.
real life. But also there AI, I mean, there's a lot of solutions and a lot of things out there where you don't need to take pictures anymore. Pictures get automatically edited. Imagine, you
Yeah.
don't need to have somebody adjusting the light of thousands of pictures for your ecom. You can have an AI to do that. So it's always about thinking, hey, the time that this person was spending in this like really tedious task before, imagine the things that they could do with this, and how much the storytelling can be elevated because of that, right?
Out of all of these solutions that you just mentioned, what do you think is the most used today?
Oof, I have to say it's really mixed. I think at the very beginning, Midjourney got a grip in terms of image creation. I think there were
Mm.
a lot of brands out there, a lot of brands in the space using it. I mean, it got an attention, but I think the more the time passes, the more diversified it's becoming.
Hmm.
And I think that's the cool part about it, that it's also we're starting to see a space that it's not monopolized by two or three solutions, which is what we're used to in the creative industries,
Hmm.
which is really cool because it also means that there's going to be more competition. So then also we're going to get better things, from
Yeah.
the AI companies and AI solutions.
100%. I think I was quite impressed when I saw, was it like a month or two ago, Hugo Boss on LinkedIn published a
Yes,
little campaign, or at least a video from what I
yes,
saw, and it was the first time a big brand that I know posted something on LinkedIn, B2C, showing how AI could be used. And of course, I know you can probably not talk about this too much, but I just wanted to mention that I thought it was a really great example. What do you think would be the next step from there?
yes. It was a really cool campaign. The team that did it is it's really fantastic, and I have to say I do think that this type of content is going to become more normalized, because right now you can see it in a lot of companies. I think LVMH is also really at the front in this, and you have of course Nike, Adidas. Um, but until now, like I do feel that we're all like trying things, especially when we're talking like marketing B2C. We're trying things, and I think the next step is really that this is going to become the staple.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a trial of, oh wow, let's see how cool this is and let's see how it performs and let's see uh, if people like it. If not, let's try this solution, let's try that solution. I think in the next step is really that this is here to stay and is going to become an organic part of our everyday
Mm.
life. And we'll get used to really see AI created content every day. And that's really exciting. It's really exciting to see what this content's going to look like, because I think that's the most interesting part, that
Hmm.
until now most of the things that we're seeing in the AI space, they're still like very much trying to be as realistic as possible.
Yeah,
So
exactly. But I don't know if all of the listeners saw that Hugo Boss campaign, but it was basically just a model on a white background in a denim outfit. It was a video moving a little bit. So it was trying to replicate a video you would usually record of a real model in the studio.
mhm.
And I'm interested in when are we gonna get to the point where brands are gonna experiment with it a bit more? Because we can go beyond that. We can go beyond just replicating what we can already do.
Yes, agree. And that's going to be the most interesting part, like when I bring in that part of like, hey, we can bring things that are outside of this reality or outside of this, the, our reality into the content space. I personally think is just around the corner,
Hmm.
and it's probably, it just takes one brand to do it for all of them to follow.
I was thinking that probably Nike or Adidas, because sportswear brands are usually
Yes.
always on the front of
Yes.
changes like that. So we can make a little bet of which brand will come up with this content first.
Agree. That's a
I
that's
say Adidas.
I'll say Nike. I think it's
Okay,
gonna be
okay,
Nike.
we'll talk about this then.
Good. A dinner.
All right. But if we can create so much more content, because you talked about the quantity of content, the topic of personalization comes up a lot. Because now you can create so much. How is that going to change how a brand communicates with the audience?
Personalization is gonna go in two ways, like in a market perspective, but also on a really personal, tailored way. So first, I think the first step it's going to be really that we'll see, content being created for certain markets, which in a
Mhm.
kind of way it exists today already. So it's
Yeah.
not a completely radical new idea, but we're going to see. I do think we're going to see first the evolution of that, and
Mhm.
then that's gonna merge into having really personalized content. And that means, you as an individual will get content for you. I honestly don't know how that's going to look like, but if right now we'll have to make a bet, I'll have to say that it looks like, maybe you're seeing yourself already, in a video. So imagine a brand that's doing a campaign, and because of AI, we're able to put, instead of a model, you can see yourself, and you
Mhm.
are the campaign. You're becoming the campaign. Of course, it opens a lot of other questions about privacy, about ethical points, and of course, that I think that's also another topic. But when we're talking about like really just talking out loud and easily as we are today into what do you imagine it's going to happen, I do see things like that happening.
The first thing I think is going to happen is that based on our data, on how we shop, how we use Instagram, which profiles we follow, we will see the garments on people that are either similar to us in a way, not us as a person, but similar to us. So let's say I'm curvy, then I might see dresses more on curvy models. Or it could be just similar to all the influencers or people I like and follow. So
Mhm.
if I have a lot of sporty influencers I follow, then maybe that's the direction it's going to go. And maybe that's even going to be paired with the market. So if I, for example, live in France, I already get styles recommended that are fitting the French market, but then that will be paired probably with a model look that fits my profile. So that's what I see first, because there's always been this discussion about, do you want to see yourself? Most people don't want to see the garments on themselves necessarily because it's quite
Mhm.
uncomfortable. It's a little bit of an
Yeah.
uncanny valley feeling. It's not for everyone the same issue, but some people have that feeling.
What about, because now that you said that, I also resonate with that statement. And one day I was talking to one of our colleagues. We were also, having just like an inspirational talk, and we were really talking into what the future of avatars were. And they were saying it was really interesting for them. I think it's also really cool for the listeners, is that they were also saying, hey, what about also maybe yourself in the Web3 space? It's also not what you would see in the mirror. Yourself in the Web3 space has a different representation. It can be based on, I don't know, uh, fire or animals or whatever that may be. And maybe it's, maybe the future of AI personalization is also including, those versions of ourselves in the
That's
storytelling.
a good point. In the physical world, we are bound to our physical form, but we're so much more, right? You can't really change your physical appearance. But if you are able, with your creativity in the metaverse, for example, create your avatar and it represents you much more, why shouldn't that be possible with AI then, right? Interesting topic.
Exactly.
Yeah. But can we shift to sustainability, because I asked you before this meeting if you would like to talk about sustainability. It's always a little bit of a difficult topic because there's not a lot of data. There's the discussion of AI servers and in general, like what is the energy consumption. I personally do see the benefits of AI when it comes to sustainability, but how do you think you can make the most of it?
Agree. I mean, we need to speak about sustainability. It's a key pillar not only in fashion but in all of the industries. I mean, we really have one planet and we need to take care of it. So sustainability is a key point in every business right now. And you're right. I mean, AI it's a very positive tool to push sustainability and to push for more sustainable practices. I mean, the first one is you were really saying, it is really hard to get data, especially with, like global companies that are decentralized and have, you
Mm.
know, a lot of partners. It's really hard to gather that data, process that data, you know, turn that data into facts and more importantly, into actions. And I think AI it's the perfect tool for this. It's going to help us, translate all of this really like what is now this huge ball of data and information, and this is not only on fashion. I think that's really something
Mm.
that it's applicable for all industries. Of course, I think when we talk about fashion specifically, um, AI it's really helping us into making more efficient workflows firstly, because of course it's not just about the fastness and the, let's say, the speed. It's also about how efficient we are, and the more efficient we are, of course, then the more sustainable we're going to be, because we're going to use less materials, less energy, less water, everything. And that already started to happen a bit in the 3D space. I think that was also one of the biggest drivers when it came of like digital transformation, and specifically in that design area. And AI is just enhancing that even more. So it's really showing us that yes, this is the path, and it is the way to make fashion more sustainable.
I remember meeting you about 5 years ago at a fair. It was really lovely meeting you. And back then we talked about how sustainability drove us to learn 3D so we can actually make the industry a little bit better. And now the same is true for AI. Can you mention maybe one workflow particularly, how it works, how AI helps to save materials or helps to save costs? Doesn't matter if that's in photography or if it's in the design process. I just think it's very interesting for our listeners to really get a deep dive in maybe one workflow.
When we're talking, like shootings in general are, not sustainable at all. In general, you have a bunch of people traveling from across the globe, you stylists, photographers, models, and usually it's not that everybody lives in the same place. They all tend to live in like really different areas of the world. So we're talking air freight, which is a huge, huge, huge part of sustainability. And then really all the energy that is used in the studio, like lights, you can count it, like really maintaining all that people in that place, and like moving all that people, and of course all the clothes that get produced for it. We could do this now with AI in 3D. We can do it digitally with the help of AI, literally using one computer, nothing more. So
It sounds super futuristic. It's crazy
mhm,
that we live in that period in time
right.
now. When we
Imagine.
talked 5 years ago, that was not the case back then.
Absolutely. I think if we would have like said this statement when we met in the fair, we'll probably think that we were crazy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and I know that technology moves fast, but I always felt like it was moving too slow. And now with AI coming in, I really feel a huge shift, and I'm like, great!
Yes.
Technology is finally giving a boost again to the sustainability aspect in fashion.
Agree. 100% agree with you. And I mean, this is only just one little thing, let's also see. I think the most exciting part is that let's see what other exciting things are to come. I think that's the coolest part of it all. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel that we're living in a moment where it's like, early 2000s, internet was just created and nobody still like grasps the full potential of it. I have a feeling that we're living in a very similar era right now, and it's so exciting.
Do you remember New Year's Eve 1999 when everyone had the fear that all the computers would stop working because
Yes.
they couldn't jump to 2000 to year 2000?
True.
Yeah, it is so interesting how people are scared of new technology, others are celebrating it. I think we're both more on the side that we're celebrating new technology. What do you think is next in digital fashion?
I have to say, and the answer is a bit boring. I mean, we have talked about like really, really cool stuff until now. So I need to get just a bit boring for the audience. But I do think the future is quantum computing. Quantum computing, it's really going to be the third level that it's going to bring all of these existing technologies together. Because of course, when we started to talk like massive evolution of AI, we also
Mm-hmm.
started to talk about needing massive computational power, which in itself, if AI grows that much, it's going to come to a point where it's not sustainable anymore. And I think, quantum computing is really going to bring that third level of that third layer, that we need to tie it all together and to keep that,
Mm-hmm.
sustainability aspect.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone else ever brought this up in this podcast. When we talk about AI, and maybe that's going to be a little bit technical now, but when we talk about AI, there was this idea that depending on how much input we give and comparing that to the output, that it would be an exponential growth in quality. And that's really not true. We see that, for example, with ChatGPT, large language models as one example, the more data you put in, yes, it is getting better, it's getting more efficient, but in actuality, it's actually getting a bit more flat. So the learning curve, it's really not going exponentially, quite the opposite. So there is something that is needed in terms of computing power to push AI even more. Yeah, definitely. I would love to have an episode about AI and quantum computing.
But yeah, I mean, it's good that we start to talk about it. For sure, I think it's still also very early to deep dive into it, and there's probably better people to do that. But it's important that the message starts to get across, so that people also already start to hear the word and start to maybe research of it in their personal
Yeah.
lives. But what quantum computing is, what it's based on, because that's gonna also bring everybody a bit of a more holistic picture into
Yeah.
what the future of AI is going to be, not only in this like 5 year frame, but maybe when we look a bit longer into the 10, 15,
Yeah.
20 year frame.
We've covered a lot today, from how AI is transforming 3D workflows to how brands can leverage these technologies. So before we wrap up, what advice would you give to brands or professionals looking to embrace AI in their 3D workflows?
Don't be scared. That's the magic phrase. Don't be scared. Keep your curiosity flowing. Don't don't be scared of failing. Don't be scared of what people are gonna think. Just do it. Try it out. Maybe first time doesn't work. It's okay, like not everything needs to work the first time to be great. Just go back to it and have perseverance into always learning more and more and more, because in that learning curiosity path is where the success lies. So keep on trying things, keep on trying new tools. Don't think 10 steps ahead. Sometimes I know companies, tend to do that, always like think all of the possibilities of what can happen 10 steps away. Sometimes just try it out. Just try it out. See what happens. Use something little. Usually, transformation starts with one, two people and a little idea. And that little idea works. Or maybe it doesn't. And they try again. And then the next time they try, there are 4 people. And then the next time there are 6 people. So really, don't be afraid. The earlier starting today is already late. You should have started yesterday. So do it. Just really do it. Don't be afraid.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Christina, thank you so much for sharing your insights. It was amazing to talk with you today. And I hope to see you someday for a quantum computing and AI podcast.
That will be a great opportunity. Thank you very much for having me here, Charlotte. It was fantastic. It was so much fun, and I really hope that the listeners are having as much fun as we are.